Hey runners. Hey, today I'm excited to have a guest, one of our local trail runners, Jose Ramirez, who just completed the
Hey, Herb.
Bigfoot trail race. So stay tuned and learn how Jose beat the demons and did a negative split on his first 200. Welcome to the Forever Runner podcast. I'm your host, Herb the Forever Runner. I'm a heart attack survivor, ultra runner, and longevity coach for runners over 50. Listen in each week as we discover how to master your running and enjoy an active lifestyle as you age. To learn more, head to foreverrunner.com for show notes and to subscribe to my weekly newsletter. Well, Jose, so like we were talking before, I think I ran into you at Sub Black Hills like 5 years ago, and you were just kind of testing out trail running. And you just exploded from that as far as I'm concerned. I've been doing this like 20 years and I haven't done a 200 miles yet. And here within 5 years, you've successfully ran a 200-mile race. So got you into this in the first place.
I think the I think the drive to want to be outdoors, and I'm kind of an outdoors guy. I bow hunt too. I'm a bow hunter. I like being outdoors, and a lot of it also has to do with just mental health. I think running's such a great way to stimulate some good habits, and and really get out of yourself and go enjoy the outdoors. Really helps with mental health.
Yeah, you started off just that year, you went out and did a 50K, like right off the bat. So how did that feel?
Oh, it was definitely tough. It was I think at that moment it was probably one of the harder things that I've done in my life. And I know that going through that race, I really went like very unprepared. But I think I had the mindset to finish. And I did finish the race. My body was a wreck after that 50K. I was just so beat up from it. But I think a lot of these races are so mental that I think if you have a really strong mental drive, you could drag your body through one of those races. But I mean, it also could come at a detriment. Like you really want to have your body prepared for these kind of butt whoopings. You don't want to just show up and be out of shape and push yourself through the race and create an issue within your body that could be irreversible or an injury that you could, put you out for a long time.
Yeah, and then then the next year you went out and did a 50 miler out at
Right.
our favorite spot, Badger Mountain. So, and you didn't really do any races in between that, right? You just kind of signed up and said, I'm doing a 50, huh?
Yep. Yep. I wanted to just keep pushing. I mean, I think like we were talking before, my mindset's so driven to do more and more when it comes to anything. When I start kind of pushing myself and getting into the trail running scene, I was just finding more things out about myself. I was like, well, I could do a little more than that. I could do more. I could do more, and it just drove me to do more. And I think the 50-mile race actually went a little better than my 50K race. I was in better shape, and I think I prepared a little better. But I remember that race. I wasn't putting a lot of elevation climb in my training, and that kind of beat me up on there. I was able to get it done, but I was like, my legs need to be in better shape for these climbs, and that's
Yeah.
another thing I learned on that race. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then the next year, I guess we found out we're kind of bad luck for each other
That's
because
right.
you went out to do your first 100 and, got injured. And I was helping you on that one. And then you came down to help me on the Tianaway 100 and I got injured.
Yeah.
And then you ended up having a lot of fun on that one yourself also. So what got you into like all of a sudden doing 100-mile race? That
I
that's
think
like 3 years into your trail running career, and you're doing 100.
Well, I think you guys, all the trail runners, like you guys talking about these races every time I've seen you guys, really sparked that that seed within me that was like, I want to do that someday. I know I'm not ready now, but someday I want to try to approach one of these races and try to be as well trained as I can so I could succeed. But I know that race, I just got a little ahead of myself. I think I was just running too hard downhill. And I think that um, another learning experience, like you have to learn how to gauge yourself through some of the terrain and move and adjust paces as you're moving through, the ascents, the descents, and all the flats, and be very strategic to just get the most out of yourself, right? So, and I think for me, I'm always driven to run hard. Like I sometimes will go out of my house to go run just a road run here in my neighborhood, and I'll go out too hard. Like, and it's like that's something I've been learning to like dial back. Hey, you don't need to go hard. Take it easy. Go slow. Keep your heart rate under 130, 135. Let's just keep it there. And I think that's been helping me a lot, actually, more for training. I think my endurance has actually improved. Most of my runs stay under 135, and unless I'm doing like a tempo or some kind of a interval.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you went back the next year and finished the Badger 100. So that kind of gave you a lot more confidence, or
Oh yeah. Like I think getting to mile 85 the year before, where you were gonna take over and pace me, I think that I know in my mind I was like, I think I could have hobbled my way to the finish, but um I was very confused of like what was going on with Winnie. Later found out it was just an IT issue, but I thought it felt so bad that I thought I had maybe something torn. I mean, that's how bad I thought it was.
yeah.
But um, like I said, that's a learning experience of knowing how your body reacts to a certain injury. Um, and yeah, I was confident to go the next year and get it done. And it was quite the hoorah on that type of race though. That year was very cold and quite the experience.
Yeah. And then you automatically think, well, I need to do a 200. What was the thought process behind that?
Honestly, I think I started thinking about a 200 long way before I started thinking about a 100-mile race because not about actually like getting one done, but mostly I was actually just entertaining the thought like how could somebody even run like that far? It's just seemed unreal to me, and I'm like maybe I can someday. Like I never counted myself out. I was just more like how could I get there? Like how am I going to get there to that point? And I knew getting a 100-mile race was going to be part of that journey.
So, so you didn't really do any races in between your 100-mile race and then a year later doing a 200. So how did you train?
Um, I get so much questions from a lot of people about that because like I know my training seems so random and um I don't know, like I think a lot of people don't see it, but I think a lot of my work happens when I'm at work too, like I know my work isn't like training for an endurance, but I think I build a lot of like grit at work. I'm constantly moving, my heart rate's constantly up when I'm actually moving at work. And I think that keeps my aerobic fitness like at a good level. So when I train, I give myself 12 to 14 weeks of trying to get as many miles as I can done. And sometimes this goes out the window. Like I'm depending on family life and how work is going. I just try to fit in as many runs as I can throughout the week to try to, and also try to do a long one in the weekend. And that's how I approach it. And I think getting into this 200-mile race, I did a lot of climbing. I did a lot, as much as I could, just getting to the steepest climbs and shorter distance. Like I went up to Mount Eleanor and Mount Washington a lot to just get my legs ready for that type of race.
Did you do any super long runs or like all day runs or overnight runs or anything like that?
No, I didn't. I think the longest run I did was probably a 40-mile run with 8,000 feet, Capitol Forest. We did the Six Peaks. We're doing me, my friend Rick Gant, and Stacy and Phyllis. We're doing the Six Peak. We're trying to FKT that Six Peaks in Capitol Forest. And we went out and we did that, and that's probably my longest run. And that was really early in the season. It was just earlier this year. I think it was like in February or March. But that was still quite a bit away from the race, and I was planning on going on a couple other races, but it didn't work out because of work, and I
Yeah.
just kept grinding away, kept going out to my local forest just to get my legs as ready as I could. I mean, I went in there a little doubtful of how things were gonna go, but I think when I got there, things kind of switched, and I was able to kind of put it all together and get going.
So what was your goal or your approach for, obviously you wanted to finish, but you had kind of a time goal or
Yeah, I wanted to just get it done. Like even if it took me all the whole time to get it done, I wanted to go out there and if it took me 100, I think they gave you 105 hours. I forget. They changed it because of the reroute with the fire, but I think it was like 105 hours. And I was like, well, I want to get it done in 104 hours. And I was going in there with that kind of mentality. And I told myself if I felt good, I was going to push. And if I didn't feel good, I was just going to keep it just steady and just keep my pace slow so I wouldn't overfry myself.
so the course ended up being uh, two monster 100-mile loops. It sounded like the first loop wasn't too much fun for you. Can you go through what happened?
Sure. Yeah, I think the first couple hours during the day went okay. But when I was reaching the 50-mile turn easy, and I associate that with my heart rate. I think I was pushing too hard in the beginning. I think my heart rate was too elevated, and I was trying to eat and drink a lot with my heart rate already. And I know this, I was countering what I already knew, and I wasn't listening to myself until I got into the bad position with my nausea. Um, but when I got to the 50-mile turnaround, and I went out a couple miles in back in on the course, I started just feeling really sick and vomiting, and just my stomach was just all over the place, and that took me probably a good 6 to 8 hours to kind of fix. But I kept moving, um, and that really slowed me down. But yeah, that was probably the really bad situation. Like I felt so defeated. I mean, I really wanted to just stop. Like my mind was telling me like I'm done. Like, but when I got back to the Twin Sisters aid station was maybe mile 65, maybe 70. Uh, Nurses took good care of me. They hydrated me. They're able to get calories in me. They made sure wasn't eating too fast, and that really revived me. And I was able to get that second, or that 30 last miles to the 100-mile loop done, and it went it went good after that. I mean, it
Yeah,
helped. It
it's
took a minute
pretty
for me to
it's
like rally up, but I was able to rally up pretty good.
it's pretty interesting. I know from it, I run a aid station at a 100-mile race, and I think people, uh, stomach problems are pretty common for a variety of reasons. And unfortunately, the cures, like you said, is you basically just have to spend a lot of time uh, slowly bringing yourself back. And um, I know a lot of people, they have that stomach problem and you're just totally wasted and you just want to drop. And it takes a lot of grit to, sit there and say, well, I'm going to get through this, whatever it takes, however long it takes, and to, step back out of that aid station and start heading on down the course. So is that what you were feeling while you're sitting there? Did you got over the depression of,
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm gonna drop. And what changed your mind?
I think I decided not to make a decision when as soon as I got there, and I told myself I'm going to sit here, even if I have to sit here for a couple hours, feel after I rehydrate really well and eat, get some food in me. And I think 2 hours later, I was feeling my spirits drastically changed, and I was able to tell myself like, no, I could get moving, and I could get this done. I don't um, uh, I don't need to stop here. Like this is not the end. I have to keep moving. And I was able to rally up really well. I think a lot of it has to do with just also just like the people there at the aid station. I was able to the medics there really, I mean, they took such good care of me. I was very impressed with how they were watching over me, and they brought me back to life. I mean, you know,
So finishing that first loop, you're basically back at the start finish, and there was quite a crowd there of our local runners. So how did that give you a little boost for heading out for your second loop?
gosh, I think in these ultras, it's all about the people, like all the people around you. I think they really help your spirit and you know keep moving. I think just seeing all my crew like Jason and Kristen and Craig and Ian, it boosted my morale. I was able to like move faster and know that I wasn't alone, I guess. There, it kind of gives you that extra boost of energy. And yeah, I saw a lot of it was great. I mean, that the aid station was kind of like a VIP aid station, like all these people were there. They all knew me. There was the amazing food there. I ate my fill of food and um everything was kind of taking care of me as I took a nap and got back up and I got going.
So did you kind of feel like you're starting all over again? You just everything, all that other stuff was behind you, and you felt invigorated and
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was hurting a little bit. I think my feet were the one thing that got the most beat up, especially on the road, because there's a lot of road section. I think we ran probably like 50 miles of road on
oh,
that
wow.
because we had to do that Owens to the finish, which is 13 miles. You got to do that 4 times, so
Yeah.
that turned into kind of like 50 plus miles of just road running. And I didn't go prepared with like road shoes, so I was like running with my trail shoes on the road for a long time, and I feel like that kind of beat my feet up a little bit, but uh yeah, leaving that aid station, I think I wasn't even in any kind of mindset like, oh, I gotta do this again. I was just motivated to go, like get going. And I think I kept myself pretty accountable. Like 2 hours, put my sleep on my phone. As soon as it went off, I just spring back up and I was like, I can't hesitate. Get back up, let's go, change your socks, let's move. And that's what I did and got moving. Yeah.
So did you have a pre-established sleep schedule?
Um, Not really. I kind of wanted, I told myself that I was going to kind of decide on the move, what I was going to do depending on how I felt. And I think when I arrived to the aid station, I was feeling okay. So I remember telling Jason, like, hey, just wake me up in 2 hours. I'm going to set my alarm too, but you come and just make sure that I'm up and moving because I don't want to oversleep.
Yeah.
And he came over to knock on my window and I was sleeping in my back of my truck. So and I was able to get up and get moving. I mean, um I was driven to get going. Like I never hesitated to just get going. I think it was so important to not let your fatigue, your mental, like your sleep deprivation, like take control of yourself. I think I just kind of overrode all that stuff, and I was like, I gotta get moving. I got a mission to finish. So I think that was very important to the turnaround there on the 100-mile turnaround for
Oh,
the
cool.
second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you slept one more time in the next loop?
Yeah, I think so. Like when I got to it's when I got to that 50-mile mark. So it was around mile 150. I slept another 2 hours.
Okay.
Because I think the first night I didn't sleep at all. I mean, I tried taking naps on the when I was sick on the way back to Twin Sisters aid station, but I just couldn't sleep. I was just feeling too trashed, and there's mosquitoes everywhere. I was just yeah, I
Oh,
was
no.
a good
You
spot to
don't,
be taking a nap either. So I was like,
yeah, that's something you kind of don't think about. At least I wouldn't, preparing for the race is it's like you should have a bug net. Okay.
yeah, I took a bug net too.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I took a bug net. I took vanilla extract to help me kind of keep a lot of the bugs off of me. I was putting it on my skin that was exposed, and it was working really well. It was just the constant like bzz, like buzzing in your ear. It's like it's just kind of annoying. I couldn't get any good sleep, even though I had my net on. I was just like, I just couldn't get any sleep. But there's a lot of spots throughout the course where there's like no insects, so you're able to like lay down and get some sleep. But yeah, that's where I got my second 2 hours of sleep was at Klickitat, the second Klickitat visit, which was around mile 140 or something like that, 150. I forget the mileage. The mileage is all kind of jumbled up in my mind because it actually doesn't follow the same course that Bigfoot,
Right.
originally does. So.
Right. So yeah, so you came down to the finish and you did a little bit quicker the second 100 miles than the first. What was your time difference between the two?
It was about 6 hours. It's a little under 6 hours, but yeah, it was almost 6 hours faster. I was moving out like that second, like probably the last 80 miles, I was moving very well, I think, to my estimation. I mean, my time, my tracking of my time, I was just like, wow, I'm like moving faster than I was last time, or the earlier in the week. But I know Jason kept telling me, he's like, dude, you're getting here like 2 hours faster than like I'm expecting you. And it's like he was barely showing up when I was like ready to leave already the aid station. But luckily he'd show up and I'd just hang out for another 10 minutes and he'd be able to take care of all my needs I needed. And I was off and going again. I don't know. I think there's just like I did a lot of praying and a lot of meditation throughout that race that I think helped me get into a good mental state that that put like optimism and positivity. I think is so important when you're in there. If you start thinking in a negative way, it really drains your energy. Um, but when you start thinking in a positive way, I think it could drive your energy to skyrocket. You know, as long as you're fueling right, eating and drinking enough.
Yeah, I think these stupid races we do when you get well even 50 milers on up,
Yeah.
man, it's like 90% mental and 10% physical because your body will just get you there,
Yeah.
but it's your mindset um, and like you said, the positive thinking that gets you to that finish line. Is that what you feel?
I think so. I think it's important. I think a lot of people who've asked me, I have family that are they're going to try their first ultras here in the next couple, months to a year. They're trying to they're starting to train for it. Um, I tell them like, you make sure that you're not just training training your body, but put yourself in a situation where you're going to do maybe a lot of mileage or a lot of climbing, where it's going to make you like fatigued to the point where maybe you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, go do one more climb. Like just push yourself a little farther. And that's what an ultra feels like. Like you got to just keep pushing for one more mile, one more 1,000 foot climb. Like when you're training, you do those little extra little, they turn into this, big cookie and that I call your brain.
Yeah.
And and it's like you get it all together, you put it all together, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Even if you're in the best shape, sometimes might not work out for you at the race. But I think it's just prepping the mind is very important, definitely.
You've done an amazing job. Like I said before, just within 5 years of starting trail running, you complete a 100 miler or 200 miler, and uh, no 200 mile is easy, but Bigfoot is notorious for being tough. So it was
Yeah.
that was an amazing accomplishment for you. So so what's next? What do you got planned? Do you have anything planned for next year?
I do. I'm taking the rest of the year off. I trained and my whole focus was on this race. And like I told you earlier, I wanted to like do other races, like other 50 mile and 100 mile races to kind of prep me for the race. But I just wasn't able to like have the time to like go do these races. And so a lot of races I canceled. And decided to just train as much as I could with all the uh, uh, running buddies I got around here and myself. And I think I did just enough to get it done.
Yeah, but next year,
Yeah, well, next year, sorry about that. But yeah, next year, so next year I want to go back to Badger Mountain 100. Even though I completed it last year, the year before, yeah, last year, I think I could do a lot better. Uh, and I'm going out there to try to PR the course. I want to do better. I think I got it done in like 30 hours, a little over 30 hours. I think I could shoot for maybe 26, 27 hours this year. And that's what I'm going to go over and try to go do. And I plan on doing 3 races. I'm trying to do that one. Um, I might get into Lumberjack or Cascade Crest and then Mountain Lakes. I'm trying to just do 100 mile races next year. That's my
ooh,
goal. Yeah.
ooh, good for you.
Yeah. And then I already have planned 2026. I want to go back to Bigfoot and try to see if I could go a little quicker, get that done a little faster as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great, especially if they can get back to the original course too.
Yeah. I I was pretty bummed out that that course was we weren't going to run that course this year. It was just because the views are beautiful, especially those first 100 miles. There's a lot of beautiful views that a lot of us missed out on, but luckily I course swept that section, so I know how it looks. So
Cool. Well,
in my heart,
fantastic. Well, well, that was just an amazing experience you had out there at Bigfoot, doing a 200-mile race in 80 hours. That's fantastic. So before we go, so you've had a podcast going, and you said you're going to start it up again pretty soon or this winter.
yeah, I'm planning on at least getting my first couple episodes out by the end of the year. And the podcast is called Travel to the Top Podcast, and it's gonna have a lot to do with just running it too. A lot of running, but also a lot of my own personal um things I want to talk about when it comes to like men's mental health. I want to talk to other contractors about way to build things. I mean, it is going to be a variety of different things that I want to talk about, but definitely a lot of it's going to be centered in ultra running for sure.
Cool. Is that on Apple and Spotify and stuff like that?
Yeah, it will be on definitely be on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, cool. Well, thanks so much, Jose. And I hope to see you out there running somewhere
sounds good.
next month or two.
You'll definitely see me. I'll be out there one of those Thursday night runs here soon. And thanks for having me, Herb.
Oh
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Seeing you.
Thanks so much. We'll see you, everyone.